Hmm. All right, we're going to do a video. And in this video, it's going to be like a little Mod Podge thing. So we're going to kind of go over a couple of questions. Viewers' questions. Another episode of You Asked It, or whatever the hell. I haven't really given a title, but I got a question. Actually, I got a couple of questions, and they're good observations. Now, I want to also add into this video, because it kind of ties in all together, the new moon for June. Okay. I already had the June new moon video done, and well, it somehow disappeared into the infinite digital realm of hell that sometimes happens, and that most YouTubers know all too well much about wherever the hell that realm is. We're all too familiar with it. So we're going to weave a little bit of that new moon energy in, and then we'll get to the questions. So I will start off by touching on those questions in the beginning, and then we'll go into the new moon, and then I'll answer the questions at the end. I think that's the order I'm going to go in. I don't know. I usually, do I have an order? I don't know. There's some excellent comments too. There's just been a lot of really good introspective, deep thinking comments and observations of what's going on in general. What speed do the nodes travel at? The north and the south node, what speed do they travel at? So that's a question we'll get to. Another one was talking about thinking. Actually, I had two questions, so I guess I'll combine these into the two. Two people, or I don't know, more than two, commented about their thoughts and the way they're thinking right now, the month of June, midway through the month, and how they feel like they're not sure. Excuse me, they're not sure that their thoughts are very clear right now. They're kind of feeling like, I don't think I can trust my logic and my rationale right now. There's a lot going on in the news or whatever in their world, and likely in the news, because there is a lot of very powerful stuff happening right now. And one of the questions said something about, like, I'm not sure if it's like illusions and delusions. I'm not sure what the truth is right now, right? And so we'll get to that, and we'll show some examples of why that would be a thing mid-June, right? Why that would be a thing. So here's the chart, and there's the date. June 17th for the June new moon. 11:37. If you can't see it, there you go. 11:37 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Adjust for the time zone that you live in. And we recommend that you do that, because if you're across the pond, this could be a big difference in time, 6-7 hours. And when you do your new moon intentions, there's like an 8-hour window prior to the new moon time. You follow? So for me, I'm in Central Daylight Time Zone. For me, the 8 hours before 11:30, before 11:37, are the hours of power. That's the time when I write my intentions down, or light my candle, or pray, or meditate, or do whatever you do, whatever works for you, whatever you believe in, to be the master of your universe, to create by having a sense of mindfulness about what you want going forward, right? Now, the other piece of this is, well, what are we setting those intentions towards? Gemini energy. Because it's a new moon in Gemini. New moon is when the sun and the moon are together. You see that? Yeah. We got both the sun and the moon lined up. Yep. They are at 26 degrees and 43 minutes. 26:43. Look in your chart. Do you have something there? Not to confuse you, but if you're not certain, or if you're confused and you don't know because you don't have your chart, you can always comment below, and I will help you out in any way I can. You could always go watch your June video. The June videos do include the lunar cycles. So the new moon, when I say it's a beginning, we got a beginning coming up. That's what I'm talking about. And so I tell you what house it's in for you without telling you that's the house it's in, or I may say it, I can't remember. Every video comes out a little bit differently, but it's always the accuracy of knowing what house it's in for you, and the sign, which tells us what it is we're setting our intentions on. Gemini is the thinker. the communicator, the talker, the speaker, the teacher. It is also someone who is learning. I'm learning, right? I'm learning a new trade, possibly even. Learning. I love to learn. You know how Geminis like to talk and they like to just share stuff that they've learned, or they may seem contrarian because it's the sign of duality. You know, sometimes we use that. You hear the negative connotation about like two-faced, right? The one out of the left side of their mouth, they say one thing, out of the right side of the mouth, they say something else totally different than what they just said. So it's like, okay, which is it? Are you going to pick a side, right? But that's the beauty of Gemini energy. It has the ability to see all the different perspectives. Okay. That's the beauty of it. And that is to be used as your strength. One of the weaknesses of Gemini energy is it doesn't have the ability to zero in and focus. It is the multitasker. It is the jack of all trades, yet master of none. That's Gemini energy. So knowing that gives you a good starting point. You follow? It gives you a good starting point. It says, oh, but I like to learn and I like to share what I've learned. It's the writer, it's the scribe, Gemini energy. So with this kind of focus that we have right now on my mind and my thoughts and the sun and the moon together, it's a new beginning going forward in the way I think and communicate and the way that I share information. And so what I love about this were all the comments that I got about people questioning their own thoughts right now, saying, I'm not sure if what I'm thinking or what I'm hearing or just what I'm consuming is legit. Is it legit? Right? You're always, well, I haven't said it recently. Is it shit or is it legit? Like, that's a real thing. You know, you got to check multiple sources, but not just any old sources. They must be credible sources. They must be credible sources. Okay. If you don't know what credible sources are, keep doing your homework. Keep doing your homework till you figure that out. You got to go back to college. And I'm not telling you to go back to college. I'm saying, you know, that's even grade school, you're taught. Well, I should. Anyway, depends on when you were brought up in this country. How about that? You were taught how to seek and search out and verify what a credible source was. And that is the number one rule right there. If you were to write a college term paper, remember what you used to have to do? You had to provide and prove. You had to show your sources. But before you could show those sources, they had to be credible. And folks, Wikipedia is not a credible source. You have to go to the sources that Wikipedia points to down below and then seek out those sources and make sure that they're credible. You got to do more work is what I'm saying. You can't just go on Wikipedia and be like, oh, but it says this on Wikipedia. Don't do that. You follow? You got to understand that I can go on Wikipedia and take whatever you read and I can go in and I can edit it and change whatever the hell I want at any minute and manipulate it. And so if you've got people who are online purposely doing that to mess with people who think it's a credible source, now you see the problem, right? So I'm only diving into this deep like this because we're talking about Gemini energy, and it is online information, online news. It's the fact that people, the regular Joe Schmo with a camera, has become the reporter, is the one who's like on the scene and who's like, hey, holy shit, look what's going down. You know, the most incredible thing. I don't even have to say words, you know, like that's why I really am kind of very much drawn to the AP. Many times when the AP posts stuff, they're usually little snippets, but they can be just simply a camera. There's no words sometimes. You know, there might be something sometimes in writing, but many times it's just the visual of, take a look at this. Just look. Now that can be manipulated as well. You could only be seeing a very small piece of the picture while they're not showing the larger picture and what's going on around it. I understand that. But AP is considered a very credible news source. Okay. And, you know, everybody's going to have different perspectives and to say what they want to say. But for me, and there's lots of other ones too that are out there for sure. But you gotta find a way to figure out, you got to go back to the old school basics of understanding what a credible source is. Now, Gemini talking, right? Here I am. I need water. Um, it's learning. And so this is why I'm talking about this too, because it's learning. It's learning. It's people questioning, which is good. People should question. But the thing is, for I'm not going to say for whatever reason, we know why. Recent, we are all very quick to, because everything is so fast now. So we're so quick to pass judgment. Gemini energy can definitely be that way, right? Because its opposite sign is Sagittarius energy, right? Go to the opposite sign, it's Sagittarius. Well, what's Sagittarius? The judge, the sign of judgment. Can be unconscious judgments, but it's the sign of judgment. It sure as heck is. Yeah. So what does all that have to do with this new moon? Well, when we understand the opposite energy of the sign that we're working with, we're saying, but I want to get to the truth, and that is Sagittarius energy. I want to get to the truth, right? Sagittarius has the ability to zero in and focus so that it can get to the truth. But it's also the sign of going to college. Gemini is like more like grade school. Yeah, this is like grade school stuff. This is kindergarten, this is grade school, this is even high school, right? Sagittarius is when we go away to school and we learn that we have to do the research, that we have to figure out what a credible source is. Like that is our job, not the professor's job. But the professor can then say, hey, wait a minute, this is not credible. Where did you get this? Give me your sources. And then when it comes time to show the sources, people all of a sudden start looking around like, oh, they start doing that humna crap that what's his face used to do all the time, right? On the honeymooners, like, oh shit. Yeah, there's like what do they call that? The backpedaling or some crap. And so the goal is to search out and to get to the truth. And that's what Sagittarius does. And it does it with a great amount of focus. Okay. Now, Gemini is saying, hey, I want to lift my energy up and I want to be more than just like the grade school students. There's nothing wrong with that. But I have to learn how to think and relate and communicate in a more mature way, in a more, a way that considers culture, that considers the world, that considers the bigger picture. You see, Gemini is the details. And so it nitpicks and will look at that little detail and it will say, but look at this. But it has to remember, it's got to go and consider the entire picture. Sagittarius, the big picture. That's like going into a forest, Gemini, going into a forest and looking at one tree and, making a call like this tree. Oh my gosh, look, this tree has been burned. It's got like these fire markings on the side. It's all blackened. Somebody must have tried to light fire to this forest because of this one tree I'm looking at, right? And is that a possibility that that's untrue? Well, we don't really know until we go and we look at the rest of the trees. And when we look at the rest of the trees, we may see that they have no markings, no black, no char, no nothing. So then we're like, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. So we go back and we look at that one tree again and we're like, what's going on? The rest of the trees don't have any stuff. And then we realize, oh, this could very well be a tree that got struck by lightning. Oh, shit. That's a possibility? Yes, that is a possibility. Now, I'm not saying that's the only possibility, but it's a damn good possibility, right? It doesn't mean that somebody was trying to light a fire or that there was a forest fire based on one tree. Gemini energy, one tree. Sagittarius energy, the forest. You got it? And so I'm going deep with this because look, I mean, we got Juno here, conjunct this new moon. You see that? 27 degrees, 26, which, by the way, this new moon is really legitimately at 27 degrees. So this is a pretty freaking big deal, 27 degrees. It's huge, actually, because we know that a square to Gemini energy is going to be Virgo and it's going to be Pisces. And so look in the chart. This explains a lot, right? Neptune's at 27. You see that? Neptune's at 27. Neptune can make the details look blurry. You got it? It can make things fuzzy. You're in murky waters when you're talking Neptune. But just remember and focus on the meaning of Gemini energy in general. By nature, it can be tricky because it moves quickly. It's so fast. Remember, it's that person, you go on Wikipedia, you read the first thing, and you're like, oh, guess what? And you start sharing it without checking out the sources, without going to those sources and then clicking on their sources and traveling back to see if those sources were credible sources. You see, it's so consumed about getting the word out. Remember, it's Paul Revere. It's like, I got to get this word out. I got to go, go, go. And it could be a mistake. It could be wrong information, right? But that's not all. That's not all, folks. We know that in Gemini, or across from Gemini, we know the galactic center sits at 27 degrees. You see that? That's a big deal. Galactic center is a super powerful point. It's a point of need. It's a black hole. That's the black hole, right? For the galaxy that we live in. Right. Lots of galaxies, lots of universes. This is just the one, but we think we got the truth, right? We think we got the truth. Truth. Sagittarius, freedom, justice, the justice system. The black hole here is demanding justice. It is demanding truth. This is a new moon, but it's challenged. It's being challenged. It sure as hell is being challenged. The new moon is in exact opposition to the galactic center. Okay. But Neptune's also challenging it. So the illusions and the delusions for a lot of folks, this can present a problem if you have things at the degrees that I'm mentioning at the 27. So right now I'm going to change up my color so that you guys can see the big picture of why this can be so difficult and to know what you got in your chart. Okay. See what you have in your chart. Right. That's a big ass T-square. That's a big, uncomfortable, very powerful T-square. Very powerful T-square because it involves Neptune. It involves the galactic center. You see that? The sun and the moon, and it's got Juno in this thing here. Because Juno is conjunct the new moon. So it's partnerships. Relationships can be business partnership and business relationships because it's Gemini energy. News and the media even, right? And there's a lot of complaints. And I feel the same exact way. Federal stuff isn't normally seen in the courtroom or on TV or whatever, but or whatever the ruling, I don't know. All I know is I feel the public, we should be able to see what the hell's going on. If there's going to be some courtroom shit going down, I want to see that. That's how we get transparency. So the thing is that right now the energy is showing us it's definitely got the Neptune effect, which is illusions, delusions, but it's not to, just so that you all are clear, right? Neptune, illusions and delusions. The galactic center is involved, all right? We are hearing the truth. Don't be, yeah. This is a demand, an unbelievable great need for the truth. Unbelievable great need for the truth. And Neptune is saying, oh, but we're going to throw the murky waters. The murky waters can angle it because they are. The murky waters are squaring it, trying to put a veil over the truth. You follow? So a lot of things can be very uncomfortable. A lot of things can be like, holy shit, really? Is this really happening? Did that really happen? Or I'm not sure what's happening. And because there's this great, powerful, strong T-square that's confusing things. Now, Mercury, let's go to Mercury real quick here. Mercury is behind the sun. Mercury's at 11 degrees. I'm going to switch up my color here real quick. Mercury is at 11. And there's Mercury. Okay. Mercury's at 11. And so it is more than 10 degrees behind the sun and the moon, right? That's the rule, 10 degrees, but it's behind. So it's like we're getting information. It's a little delayed. Doesn't mean it's screwed up or wrong. It means, like, remember, we're a slow learner, right? It's delayed information for sure. And Seeing what you have in your chart where, when it comes to the mutable signs, Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, and Virgo, can make this either easier or more difficult than what I've already expressed here, because these are just the transits, which is the planets up in the sky. You follow? That's just the planet. So if you've got things at these degrees, then it's enforcing what you are already born with, the difficulties, the stress, the tension with thinking and talking and communicating and relating and learning and speaking and teaching. Gemini energy. The stock market, Gemini energy. The scribe, the reporter, right? Remember, remember the difference between commentary and reporting. All that has become kind of enmeshed into one thing, and they are not one thing. If you ever wrote for a paper or paid attention, I know this is kind of outdated, but back in the day, newspapers, they would have articles written, and these were reporters. They were not allowed to inject their opinion. You would have to go read an opinion piece, and only the select few, right? Like there was a couple of, if even sports writers at the time, who got to actually have their opinions, right? Then there were like the general Bob Greene and who are some of the other old ones? Oh God, I can hear their names, but I can't. They're going really fast. But who were they? Put them in down below. These were the people who got to actually put their opinion pieces in, and then you got to read and hear about their opinion, their perspective. But the difference was it was a separate article within the paper. It was clearly showing you this is an opinion. It is not the opinion of the paper. It is not showing you that this is the truth. This is this one person's opinion. You see? And that's a big deal when we talk about Gemini energy, because newspapers are kind of gone, right? And everything is now about clicks and views. Right. That's all taken precedence. And who is the influencer? Who is the public figure? Like that's all taken precedence. And so things have taken a step backwards in learning, in teaching, and in schools in general. Right? Absolutely. It's taken a step backwards. Okay. Now, at this time, I didn't go over Virgo, but Virgo was that other energy. Let me back up and show you Virgo. There's Virgo. Okay, so Virgo would be an additional thing. If you have something at 27 degrees in Virgo, it would be an additional factor, right? Because it squares the 27 in Pisces, in Sag. Let me draw this real quick. I'll go like this. Yep. In Pisces, in Sag, and Gemini. But look. We have Ceres at 29, and that is close enough. It's a 2-degree orb. Some people go bigger, some people go smaller. For the sake of the video, unless you have something at those degrees, I'm sticking with the 2-degree orb. Obviously, if you have objects at those degrees, then it could be bigger. Like if you have couple of things at 26 even, right? Or I'm sorry, 24, I would say 24, because the orb, it's at 27 for the new moon. And 29 degrees is close enough. It's 2 degrees away from being part of this square energy. We also have Ceres. So our food and our home, even, and the way we feel nurtured, the way we normally nurture ourselves, like some of those things are being angled and they're not working right now. But again, this is temporary. I know Neptune is at 27, but the sun and the moon are going to move quickly. They're going to move quickly, and that will create more ease. It'll be less of that square. However, then it becomes a T-square. It becomes a T-square because this Neptune and the galactic center are in a tight T-square. Neptune is slow. Galactic center is even slower. You follow? So that's going to be a thing. And then Juno isn't super fast. But then Ceres is going to keep moving. It's going forward, and it's going to get to 0 degrees in Libra energy because it's at 29 there. Okay. So this is to give you this new moon look, which makes it complicated if you're trying to set intentions. And I realize this is a 30-minute video, so the next video will be about answering those viewers' questions. We'll just make this a part 1. This way, people who want to watch this new moon video can see it. And when it comes to setting your intentions for the Gemini new moon at 27 degrees, think about what you want to learn about. Think about possibly your future. Think about possibly your focus, the ability to talk and communicate, and the way your mind works. What are you focused on? Do you need to focus more? Do you need to focus less? Are you scatterbrained? Set your intentions according to what you want when it comes to things, all themes Gemini. Online communications. Maybe I'm done with the online stuff. Maybe I need to go to a different platform. Maybe I need to become a vlogger. Maybe I need to become a blogger. Maybe I need to just really start changing the thoughts that I keep. Because when I change that, how I communicate and relate changes then. And when I do that, my energy changes. And when that happens, the energy around me changes. And when that happens, the world around you changes. What you attract to you is what you hold within you. And when we talk about Gemini, that's a big deal. And so I'm going to end this by saying that esoteric astrology claims that the Gemini new moon is the last extremely important new moon for 2023, because there's 3 in a lunar new year. First one is Aries, next one is Taurus, and the third one is Gemini. And the one in Gemini is about my brothers and sisters. The sign of Gemini, my brothers and sisters. It's about humanity. It's about, let's get our minds right and let's make kindness. Let's make acceptance. Let's make good. Let's make good great again.